Welcome XRP holders. In this video, we're diving deep into the groundbreaking development that is set to revolutionize the landscape of XRP developers. Get ready to learn about the airdrop of the Evers token orchestrated by the visionary minds at Evernode. For the next 1 hour and 6 minutes, yes, I know it's long, but we need to unravel the intricacies of this innovative project, exploring the airdrop process. If you're a staunch supporter of XRP or just curious about the latest advancements in smart contracts on the blockchain, you're in for a treat as Chris Dangerfield of 2Ticks provides the explanation. You'll be introduced to what Evernode does, followed by the two-step process required to fully participate as an XRP holder. We're going to break down that airdrop process, unveiling the tokenomics and exploring the mechanics that make this system tick. It's the overall power of the XRP ledger. You'll learn about the XRP to Evers ratio and the known timeline for that XRP snapshot. In the heart of this video, at the 30 to 40 minute mark, it delves into the most challenging concepts surrounding the airdrop, and I hope that the information leaves you able to grasp most of the details. At the end, there is a Q&A that was taken from Twitter. The most common questions asked were answered. So grab your notepads and let's dive headfirst into this Evernode airdrop. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you. Thank you again for the very nice time we had in the UK. But today we've got a different focus, don't we? There's an airdrop, and it's an airdrop for the XRP community. So we want to really understand what's going on because it looks like there's a lot of excitement, but at the same time, there's a lot of questions. So let's just first start with explaining to people about Evernode, who they are going to do this airdrop. Who is Evernode? What is Evernode? What's going on here?
The easiest way to think of Evernode is it's just a way to increase or add to the functionality of the XRP ledger. Okay, there's obviously a lot more to it than that, and there's a lot of good resources and videos out there that can go into much more detail about it. But if you're new to this and you've literally only heard about Evernode in the last few days as a result of this airdrop, just think of it as being an additional way to increase the functionality of the ledger. Okay, so to understand what Evernode is, you've got to go back to basics. So if we talk about the XRP ledger, we know that it is fast, it's cheap and energy efficient. But when you compare it to blockchains like Ethereum, it does less. Now, to be clear, what it does do, it does really well and much better, but we do not have smart contracts on the XRP ledger, and that does limit developers as to what they can build. Now, the Hooks Amendment, which I would think many people have probably heard mentioned, if that is implemented, it would then see smart contract-like functionality come to the XRP ledger. Now, hooks are designed to be fast and efficient, but again, that means certain compromises. They are not the same as an EVM. The hooks are explained by the developer XRPL Labs as lightweight smart contracts that can do most of what Ethereum smart contracts can do, but not everything. And so then we come full circle back to Evernode, which for me is the missing piece of the puzzle for XRPL devs to be able to do anything Ethereum can do, including taking an EVM contract and running it on Evernode. You know, Evernode is flexible, it's powerful, and it's got the potential to open the XRPL up to use cases that we previously thought would be impossible. And that is why I love Evernode, and that's why I get so excited when I'm talking about it.
So just for the people who might be new to this space, when you use the word EVM, that's the Ethereum virtual machine. That's what's used. There's different ways to do smart contracts, but the EVM is one of the most popular uses in the space to execute a smart contract. So I just want to make sure everyone knows the EVM, because that's used pretty much as is in the community, but if you're new, you might not understand that.
Just think of it as programmable money. That's how many people describe it. You know, you have the ability to put logic around anything, payments, logic around what happens with an NFT. You can do anything you want really within reason with an EVM, and you know, same kind of thing. That's what ultimately this whole journey with hooks and Evernode is all about, being able to give the XRP ledger and the developers that are building on it the ability to have tools that would enable you to do stuff that otherwise you would have previously ended up building on Ethereum or some other blockchain. I mean, this is, for me, huge. This is, when this is all in place, this is the XRP ledger grown up. It is the ability to genuinely say XRP ledger can compete with Ethereum, right? It would be a lie today to say that it can, because it doesn't have smart contracts. But with this new sidechain and these new amendments, and with Evernode, genuinely, you are pretty much only limited by your ability to think what you want to do. That's how powerful it is.
So when Witsa says that the hooks is a lightweight smart contract, it does about 90% of what the EVM is capable of doing. But when you add Evernode on top of that, it can do maybe equal or even more, possibly, than what an EVM chain can do. So that's exciting for the XRP ledger, and Absolutely. It's exciting for the XRP holders.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why I'm so excited, and I'm always talking about hooks and Evernode all the time. So it's good.
So we should probably understand what the Evernode token is, what it's about, why it exists. So if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, the first thing is they refer to the token as Evers.
EVERS.
Well, I mean, the actual the token's ticker will be EVRS, yeah. But they when I've heard it spoken, they call it Evers.
Okay.
So I went through the white paper and pulled out a bunch of different lines of text as to how they describe it. I'd absolutely recommend people check out the white paper. There are a few elements of it now that are a little bit out of date, and I will, as I explain it, adjust for those. But ultimately, it's still a fantastic source of information if you want to understand more about Evernode, and in particular the token. And they do discuss the token, and they do discuss the airdrop, and a lot of metrics are in there, which some people would probably find really interesting. So just borrowing then from the Evernode white paper, it does say Evers are proposed to be the native currency of Evernode. Okay. And they would be tokens that live on the XRP ledger sidechain. Note, I've added sidechain because my thought process is basically, when they wrote the white paper, I think they made the assumption that hooks would probably be on the mainnet by now, and it isn't. And it's questionable whether it ever will be. But either way, the token that they create, Evers, will exist on the side chain, not the main net. That's quite important. Okay.
And that side chain is the side chain to hooks.
The hooks side chain, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So it also goes on to say that Evers allows for automated buying and selling of hosted services from Evernode nodes. Now, what that basically means is that people or companies that run nodes, which are essentially the infrastructure on which Evernode runs, will be paid for doing that with Evers tokens.
I got it.
So yeah, so at the moment, really, the primary use case for the Evers token is to pay the hosts for Evernode dApps for effectively their hosting service. So I did say the token's ticker is Evers, EVRS. When you dig into the white paper, there's some interesting things in there. The smallest unit of Evers is called a now.
A what?
A now, NOW.
Hmm.
Okay, so one now is the equivalent to 0.0000001 Evers. Okay, what now? That's at 8
I was
decimal.
just counting, yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting about that is that XRP breaks down into 1 million drops.
Right.
And one ever actually breaks down into 100 million nows. So the circulating supply, incidentally, of the max supply of the Evernode token is 72 million and some change, right? Anybody that's listening to this that likes tokenomics and wants to really dig into the tokenomics, that point around the number of actual nows in an ever is actually quite an important thing. So anybody that's actually wants to dig into the tokenomics, that's something that's certainly worth knowing. What else? There's no pre-sale, there's no ICO for this project. It was, by my understanding, it's been primarily funded through grants, I believe. So we basically, the entire thing has been sort of built out, and the token is now being created for a real use case within the ecosystem. It's not built to sort of like fund its development. That's kind of pretty much already happened. It's actually now going to be created and given away to create an ecosystem of value, which again is really, really good. And so 28% of the token allocation is going to get airdropped, and they're split equally into 4 categories. Okay, each one gets 7%. So the Evernode founders get 7%, the foundation gets 7%, 7% set aside for beta testers, and the remaining 7% is set aside for XRP holders. And that's where effectively your airdrop is going to come from. Now, the remaining 72% will get distributed over the next 58 years.
Whoa. Okay.
Right. They're using an approach similar to Bitcoin block rewards.
Okay.
Essentially, what they're doing, they're having 10 epochs where portion of the tokens effectively get distributed to the node operators that are actually running the network. So the people that are contributing to keeping the network running and running it are going to get these drops. They're regular drops given by a hook. But the important thing is that after each epoch, the length of the next epoch doubles, and the number of rewards halves.
Interesting.
So it's a really slow release of the tokens over time. If you think about it, it's really clever because it's sustainable, and it just makes a lot of sense. And when I read it, it just demonstrates that, someone has actually thought about the tokenomics for Evernode, that they've, and it's just another reason for me why I've got a lot of confidence in this project, really. Someone really thought about the tokenomics, which is good. In terms of the use case for the token, I can quote now from the white paper. It does say, Evers would be instantly useful as a means of exchange for hosting services on Evernode. They would be valuable to the extent that Evernode's dApp hosting services are valuable. That's quite a key point. If the Evernode network is not used, there's no use for the token, thus no value. So if you're wondering if getting involved in this airdrop is worth it, then the question to ask yourself is, do you believe the Evernode project is going to get used, and is it going to get built on by developers? And if you think that it will, then the token will have a use case, and then logic would then say that at some point it will have some value.
Yes.
So I like that. I think that's really, really good. It's a proper use for the token. So there are also various places in the white paper that do mention or hint to other potential use cases for the Evers token. I thought I'd share one of those now. It's sort of an indirect use case around the governance game. Now, governance game, when I first heard the term, that was even a bit confusing to me. What does governance game even mean? You just think of it as sort of like a decentralized council of members that are basically then able to affect the network. You know, they get to vote on things like future updates, changes to hooks, things of that nature. Now, the number of Evers that you hold as a user has no bearing at all on the governance.
Oh, good.
My understanding of it is that Evers are actually used to initially you have to buy the right to become a node operator on the network, and you get given an NFT. And then essentially the nodes who hold the NFTs, they're the ones that are essentially supporting the network. And then the nodes can get involved in the governance game. So the more NFTs you hold, the more nodes you run, the more you're supporting the network, the more say you have in the governance of the network.
Is the cost of that NFT to run one node, has that been determined already?
You know what? I think I've read that it has, but I don't have the number off the top of my head. But if I have read it, it is probably in the white paper.
Okay.
Final point then on the token really is that this airdrop is different to others in terms of the mechanics. But fundamentally, Evernode want to distribute their token to as many hands as possible. And I love the way that they've excluded larger holders to avoid creating ever whales.
I don't know about this. So if you have, oh, is that why the 50,000 mint limit? Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't understand why they did that.
Yeah, well, I love the way they've done that, to be honest. And I also love the way that they're going to slowly distribute that 72% over a very significant time period so that the market's not just going to come saturated with these tokens and there's a schedule for their release. There's some real thought went into the tokenomics of it all. So anyway, if you're going to take part in this airdrop, then you're going to end up holding a token that, if Evernode is successful, would in theory be desirable in the long term. A word of warning, though, to anyone that thinks that they're going to get this token, then just dump it, which, to be honest, is what happens with many of the airdrops. Sadly, I have to say that I am expressing a personal view. I'm not directly affiliated with Evernode. But, you know, if you're thinking of this as just a way to make a few dollars free, just move on. Airdrop is just not for you. You're not going to get out of it what you think. And if you actually watch this video to the end, you're going to understand why. You need to go into this airdrop because you actually see the value in Evernode, and ultimately, I'm sure that that's what Evernode want. They want to give the token to people that are going to be supportive of what they're doing, whether all they ever do is hold the token, or maybe they build a business or a DApp that uses Evernode, or maybe all they do is tell somebody else about Evernode and they go on to use it and build a business. So there's clearly reasons why they've chosen to distribute tokens to XRP holders, and the mechanics of how it's going to get delivered, in my opinion, there's no point people trying to farm this airdrop. It'd be just a waste of time. They're just genuine holders, I think, is what they want. And I think that's what they're going to get, because, you know, if you look into the mechanics, there's I don't think there'll be any point doing it, you know, to try and just dump them as soon as they come. Anyway, anybody who wants to do a bit of research, you know, listen to developers in the space. Okay, there's plenty of us like myself and Wojak and FOMO and lots of others. And also, you should be following the official Evernode socials to stay up to date. And one day you might just find yourself holding something real. Who knows? I can tell you that I, for one, will absolutely be claiming my airdrop. And I'll be really grateful for it. And I shall also be contributing to the evolution of Evernode. And I'll be doing that as both a developer and also as an infrastructure operator in the future.
Okay, we hear you loud and clear, Chris. Now tell us, those that want to support this ecosystem, how do we get the token?
Okay, right. Well, the airdrop will be in two parts. Okay, and the critical thing, if you want to be a part of this, is to ensure that you just comply with step one over the next few weeks. Okay, so step one is a snapshot of the XRP ledger balances. This has nothing to do with trust lines at all. Okay, the airdrop is to every XRP holder up to a limit of 50,000 XRP. So no whales, no exchanges, no Ripple. Okay, the white paper describes the airdrop as a fixed supply with fair distribution. So they clearly want to avoid holders with humongous amounts of these tokens, and they want to distribute them fairly and clearly widely. So if you hold XRP, you'll automatically be entitled to the airdrop. You don't really need to do anything other than hold XRP in a self-custody wallet at this stage.
Let's make sure everybody understands what qualifies as a self-custody wallet. Yeah.
Fine. So, yeah, what is a self-custody wallet? Okay, you need to be, well, actually, let me do it the easy way. Some is self-custody. A ledger would be self-custody. I don't know, what are the names of some other wallets?
Descent, Cobalt Vault.
Yeah. The key to whether or not something is self-custody is the fact that you have the secret key. Okay. An exchange is not self-custody, right? Of too many questions on Twitter today about, is this supported, is that supported, listing exchanges, any kind of exchange, any way you hold your token where you don't hold the private key, that is not self-custody. So as long as you've got that private key and you're keeping that safe, then you will qualify for the airdrop up to the 50K limit.
Now, what happens if I have 100,000 XRP and I want to split them up into some wallets?
Yeah. I mean,
is that cheating? Is that going around the?
It is a question that's been asked multiple times today. Evernode have actually answered it, and they have said that if you hold more than 50,000 XRP, the only way to get your effectively let's say you had 80,000, the only way to get the benefit of the full 80,000 would be to split that into two separate wallets. So ideally you just go 40-40, and then what would happen is both balances get snapshot, but then you're going to have to perform step two twice. Let's just talk about exchanges, because exchanges cannot support the airdrop. Okay, it's not their fault. So don't go banging on the door, the Twitter door of Coinbase and Kraken and all those guys, shouting them down because they're not supporting the Evernode airdrop. They just can't do that. It's not their fault. It's designed to be that way by the Evernode team. And I have to say, I do support that. I mean, especially with my own experiences of the Flare airdrop, which, to be honest, for some people has been a right mess. So, I do fully support what they've done. And of course, they're trying to avoid whales, which is, I fully support that too. Anyway, I kind of digressed. So to finish off on step one, the key thing, the 1st of September this year, 6 p.m. AEST, which I think stands for Australian Eastern Time or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I Googled it and it said it was like UTC plus 10.
Plus 10, yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, I would strongly recommend to everyone to go and do your own research in terms of what that time means to your time zone, because time zones are the bane of my life. Trying to work out meetings with people from all around the world and work out the time zones, it's such a pain. And yeah, so if you want to do the snapshot, just make sure you've done it by the 31st of August, so then you won't have to worry about it. Just don't leave it to the day. Once that's been done, we then obviously have to wait for the next step, don't we? So there will be a step 2. And the reason I'm explaining this as a 2-step process is actually come from something Evernode said today. I mean, they made their original announcement. It was quite detailed, decent information, which you could really dig into and break down. But I think that they come to the conclusion that they would have probably been better off less is more, because it's led to so many questions, and some of them aren't even answerable at this time. And then earlier this morning, they put out another tweet that basically said, for now, all you need to do is get your XRP in your self-custody wallet and wait for the snapshot, and then wait for further instruction. So that's kind of the key. And that's the reason I've been explaining it all day on Twitter as a 2-step process. Let's just get past the 1st of September and wait for further details. However, we know what the vast majority of those details are going to be. And there are so many questions now coming up about them that I think that they need to be answered now, because it's already out there in the wild, and there are already people that are making statements that are either partially true or just completely wrong. So I'll attempt then to talk a little bit about the mechanics of the airdrop. There was one more thing that I just wanted to say, which is, if you check out the original tweet from Evernode, there is a section at the bottom, and they've got it like with the warning signs as disclaimer. And basically what they're saying in their tweet is that everything is subject to change and is guaranteed. And they even go to explicitly say the airdrop may not even happen. It's unlikely at this stage, but nevertheless, we need to be aware that they are making no guarantees that this airdrop will happen, or will happen in the way that they've already stated will happen. So it's very possible we could explain how this is going to work now based on the best information we've got, and they may have to or decide to change something at a later date. So what we're talking about now is based on the best information available as of today.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, Chris, because I think that when you do something for the first time, it involves software, it's developing, and they're trying to do the best approach possible. But things always do change. And I think we should go into this with some flexibility in our minds. As we saw with Flare, there were changes, and that's so common, and that's to be expected. But I think a lot of people didn't go into that airdrop knowing that this is very normal to have changes midway through. So yeah, that's great that I think you made that clear.
Shall I talk a bit about the mechanics of the actual of it all then?
Yeah, the mechanics would be good.
Yeah, so the Evers token will be on the Hooks sidechain. It will not be an asset on the main chain upon launch. Okay, and it's only ever potentially going to move to the mainnet if the Hooks amendment also moves to the mainnet, because they're basically interlinked. You won't have Evernode without Hooks. So depending on the success of the sidechain, it might just be such that even if Hooks did eventually end up on the main chain, it's possible that Evernode may just stay on the sidechain. It's at this stage, it's impossible to know what they will do, but all we know for a fact today is that at launch, the asset will live on the sidechain. Okay. Now, the sidechain, in simple terms, is a copy of the mainnet. Okay, but without any XRP on it on day one. Everything about the chain on day one is essentially identical to the mainnet. And then over time, amendments that are made will technically make it operate differently. But fundamentally, the airdrop works the same. Evernode create a token on the sidechain. The amount of XRP that you held on the mainnet on the snapshot date is then recorded against your R address. And you'll need to activate an account on the sidechain with the same R address that you've got on the mainnet. And then when you've done that, you then set up a trust line to Evernode, but that trust line gets set up on the sidechain. So your account has an R address.
Yes.
Okay? And what you've got to do basically is the R address that you've got on the mainnet needs to be ported across, and you need to have the same R address on the sidechain. And when you've then got access to the same R address on the sidechain, you create a trust line exactly as you would on the mainnet, but you just connect it to the sidechain when you do it. Now, the mechanics of it are a bit tricky to understand. And I'll try and explain it in simple terms. But basically, the R address is going to have a snapshotted balance from the mainnet. Okay. You then need to clone your R address to the sidechain. And I use the word clone because that's a terminology that has been used by, I think, Evernode in some of their documentation. It sounds scary. It's actually not. So no, let me just get this out the way. No one can get the R address that's yours on the mainnet on the sidechain. Okay, this is sort of a first misconception. Your R address on the mainnet is also your R address on the sidechain. How that works sort of gets into cryptography, but suffice to say that basically the private key that you hold is how you would derive the R address. And the same private key is used on the sidechain as on the mainnet. So, you know, I did say at the beginning that the sidechain is essentially a copy of the mainnet. So as it stands to reason, you put the same key in to both sides, you get the same thing back out. So as long as you keep your private key safe, nobody can take your airdrop. Okay, so I've seen it mentioned a few times. It's confusing, but your secret key and your R address are basically the same on the sidechain as they are on the mainnet. And if there ended up being 10 sidechains, right, you'd still only have one R address and one secret key. You just need to determine which chain you're currently connected to at any one time. Hopefully that has that clarified it.
Will they make a tool that makes it easy for us to do that import of the R address into the new sidechain? Will that be a tool they provide?
Can I get back? Can I come to that in a moment? Because yeah, it's clearly an important point. Just to touch on, it'll be the job of the wallet that you use. And in this instance, I'm referring to Sum or Ledger or whatever wallet you use. It'll be their job to make it easy for the user to understand what chain they're on. And in a scenario whereby you're not interacting necessarily with a wallet, let's say you're on an NFT marketplace. And I mean, this is kind of maybe going beyond the scope of this conversation, but if you're on an NFT marketplace and you needed for some reason to buy an NFT and it happened to be on a side chain, it would be the job of the marketplace to make it easy for you to be able to do that. From your perspective, you're just buying an NFT using XRP that just happens to be in your sidechain wallet. You know, this doesn't have to be like rocket science level complication to use it. This needs to be so simple that your nan can do it. And if she can't, then we'll never get the mass adoption. So the pressure really is actually on the sort of like the builders that are building on top of the ledger, you know, that are going to build applications that are going to interact with the ledger. That's the people that have got the real work to do here. You know, the actual mechanics of this are pretty much built out now. I've done some work on the site, on the test nets, and it's working. So the real work now is going to be for the people that are building the actual projects and the tools that are going to use this stuff. Anyway, back to the point of accounts. Having an unactivated account on a side chain is kind of like going back to day one of your journey with the XRP ledger. Do you remember? You have to fund an account on the XRP ledger for it to become active. So the exact same rules apply now on the sidechain. Okay. So I did say that you can have differences between the mainnet and the sidechain over time. One thing that we do know is that from day one, there is going to be a different account reserve amount on the sidechain than there is to the main chain.
Do we know what that is yet?
Yeah, on the main chain, it's 10 XRP. We know that for a fact. It's not been officially confirmed yet, but it has been said in space calls and put on Twitter that at the moment they are talking about 2 XRP on the sidechain. Okay, which is great because then you only need 2 XRP in order to be able to activate your account on the sidechain. But we are obviously waiting for the final confirmation from XRPL Labs on that, because ultimately it is the operator of the sidechain that gets to choose what those account reserves would be. And of course, to be completely accurate, it then becomes the responsibility of the validators that are voting on the amendments to ultimately confirm what that account reserve will be on the sidechain.
Yeah.
So how then, in that case, do you activate your wallet on the sidechain? Okay, and there are 2 ways. You could, in theory, do it the way you did when you did it on the main net, however many years ago that would be. You just go to an exchange, buy some XRP, and then you send that XRP to your R address, and that activates your account. And that's why in some you've got that 10 XRP reserve that you can't touch. Okay. However, my own view on this is that Evernode are likely to move quite quickly. No XRP is going to exist on the sidechain on day one, and this is likely to be one of the first actual use cases of the Hook sidechain. So there's probably not going to be an exchange you can go to where you can buy a sidechain XRP. So enter burn to mint, which I know you know about because we've talked about it before, but it's effectively a really nifty brainchild of XRPL Labs. And I have to say, it's elegant and beautiful, a little bit scary, but nevertheless, it's really cool. Okay, so this might get a little bit technical, but you know, if somebody is going to do the airdrop, they should understand what burn to mint actually means. Okay, burn to mint is not a bridge. Right. But at least not in the way that most people would understand a bridge to be.
Right, where you can go back and forth, right.
And it is absolutely nothing to do with XLS38D.
Right.
Okay. So burn to mint in less than 2 minutes. Here we go. The XRP ledger has got 100 million XRP max supply. And that can never go up. It's never going to be more than that. Okay. The side chain or the Hook side chain will have 0 XRP on day one. But what it does have is a special ability that the mainnet does not have, which is the ability to create or mint XRP in a controlled way, or at least mint a representation of XRP. And that there are debates going on over whether the XRP that you mint on the sidechain is real XRP or just a representation of it. And some people refer to it as wrapped XRP. There are merits to both points of view. But the key thing in this is in the name. You burn XRP on the main chain to mint XRP on the side chain. And when I say burn, I really mean burn, as in destroy, gone forever. Okay. It's not locked in escrow. It's not held by some witness server or stored in some account where you can later, unlock it. The XRP that you burn goes to the same black hole fees account that would happen with every single transaction, like a gas fee. That's the mechanism that they use. It's gone.
Never to return.
Yeah. So when you perform the B2M transaction, there's a special object created called an XPOP, which is a cryptographic proof of your burn. Okay, you can't fake it, and it is locked to the sidechain's ID, which is quite important, and I'll explain that in a minute. On the sidechain, there is a process where you then take that XPOP and you use it to mint XRP to the value that you've just burned on the mainnet. Not more, not less, the same amount. And there are protective measures in place to prevent that from happening more than once. The end result of B2M is that you've taken XRP that was on the mainnet and destroyed it. Then a few seconds later, you've recreated it on the sidechain. The max supply of XRP in existence is still 100 billion. It's simply that some of that supply now lives on a sidechain. Hence the debate over the actual status of that XRP on the sidechain.
Interesting. Yeah, it just adds a whole new dynamic because it does have a direct impact on the circulating supply.
It does. Yeah. And without an ability to transfer
to bring it back. Right.
Gone forever. And so there would always be 100 billion max supply across the mainnet and all side chains. However, the mainnet's circulating supply and effectively max supply, well, no, not max supply, the circulating supply just dropped because that XRP is gone. I mean, we all know that the XRP ledger is deflationary, and this happens naturally every time you send a payment. But we're talking about minuscule amounts,
fractions of amount, right?
Drops, which is nothing. So what really the burn to mint process does is just massively dial up those fees, and instead of burning like 15 drops, which is like it's a minuscule amount.
Yeah.
You can just, if you wanted to, you could just choose to burn 1,000 XRP. Boom. Gone, and it's out of existence on the main net. Now, assuming the burn to mint process is then completed on the other side, that XRP now exists on the side chain. So is it gone? It's still there, but
and the value is still the same as it is on the main net.
Well, that's again another questionable thing, because you can't use that XRP on the main net. You couldn't, you know what I mean? And if I said to you, I want to buy something from you and I'll send you 500 XRP for it, and I said, is it okay if I send you sidechain XRP? You might go, well, hang on a minute, I don't want sidechain XRP because I can't put that on an exchange and cash it in for a fiat currency. So there's debates over all of that. And so right now, the general consensus with most of the developers is the XRP that gets moved across is really for gas.
Is it going to have a new name, or will it? I mean,
I don't. XRPL Labs have not. Well, I certainly haven't heard that they've given it a name yet.
Okay.
But people are already starting to invent names for it. I've heard it referenced as SXRP, WXRP. So S for sidechain XRP, which won't stand. That won't last because there will be more than one sidechain, so that will get confusing. Right. WXRP would be wrapped XRP,
but it's not really wrapped.
That might maybe stick because technically it's not. It would be the same mechanism would be used on multiple sidechains to do it, so that might stick. But HXRP,
you can unwrap a wrapped asset.
Well, that is true. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I said earlier it is not a bridge.
Yeah.
And that's a message directly from Weitzer. he doesn't want it referred to as a bridge, because a bridge has certain properties that this just doesn't have, and for somebody that understands it, they may then make a misconception and misunderstand what it's capable of. And the last thing anybody would want to do is to see someone go and burn 100,000 XRP to move it to the side chain and then be crying when they realize they can't get it back to the main chain. So clearly, Wheats is very, very clear. He doesn't want it to be referred to as a bridge. The way it was explained to me was it's a protocol. It's a protocol for moving value from the one chain to the other. But anyway, I do, as usual, digress. That's burned to mint in more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just quickly say this. From the perspective of the airdrop, right? All you really need to know is that you're most likely going to have to burn a small amount of XRP using B2M. Just enough to activate your account on the side chain,
AIRDROP,
complete that final step, and of course have enough left that you can set up a trust line to Evernode. So the exact number is not known today, but if I was guessing, it'll be less than 5 XRP that you would need to burn to actually take part in the airdrop. So it shouldn't be a scary amount that you're going to have to deal with at all. So the airdrop itself, right, is going to take place at some future unknown date. All we know is you're going to have to have activated the wallet on the sidechain and set up a trust line ahead of it. Okay, the details haven't yet been released. I don't expect them to be released for a while. This is different to airdrops. Other airdrops like the Flare and the Solo airdrop and stuff like that people will have done in the past. But really, all it is just an extra step in the middle. And this goes to the point you made earlier. I do fully expect that there's going to be some simple tool provided to make this really easy. My guess is it's going to be an XApp inside Sun. Yeah. Now, this is not insider info, and it's certainly not a promise. It's just, for me, it's just obvious. And I'm already in discussion with another developer that's actually considering building this kind of tool. And I've even considered that I might build it myself. What I am confident of is if Evernode want a wide and fair distribution of this token, they're going to need to make it super easy and give confidence to people that it's safe to do it. And so I think there will be plenty of motivation to see a tool or tools delivered to make this really easy.
And that would be even a tool that would have to be supported and built by Ledger, for example, too, right? Because I know a lot of people have their XRP on Ledger. What happens if Ledger doesn't build that tool?
Well, the tool, right, is not tied to your wallet. When I say wallet, I'm talking about some Ledger, cross-market, etc.
Okay. So now, you could use that tool and not have your XRP on some, you're saying?
Yeah. Basically, I mean, Ledger don't tend to support much. Some, we're spoiled with some because they do. Ledger don't, right? So if I want to take a Ledger and I want to do something with Ledger, right, like set up a trust line, what I do is I would use something like XRP Toolkit.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
It's feasible. I mean, I don't know, but it's feasible that XRP Toolkit could provide a burn to mint process that would enable this to happen. And then you get your Ledger, you connect it in to the XRP Toolkit, perform it the same as setting up a trust line, and then disconnect, and you'd be done. And then effectively what you'd then have, you'd have to connect to the sidechain. Like I said, the mechanics are quite difficult to sort of explain, but to access the sidechain, you have to connect to the actual sidechain infrastructure, which in some is dead simple. It's just you go into the settings and there's a drop down box and you can just choose.
Yeah.
You can connect to the test net if you want to. So so I do think that when some rebrand Zaman to Zaman, I expect changes to their UI, and I think that because they're leading the charge for the sidechain, I would expect that things are going to improve in terms of the ease of flicking between the chains. I mean, again, it's a get. I don't know this. It just seems logical that they would do that to me.
Yeah.
So we will wait and see. I think it's great to know that we're close to launch, because this airdrop announcement is basically confirmation that Evernode is nearly ready to go. And for those of us that have been following its progress for years now, it's great to know that we're almost there. They always said it was coming, but they always said it wasn't going to come until they were close to launch. Second thing is, it's great to know that Evernode have chosen to include the XRP community in the airdrop. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense, because, I mean, if any blockchain is going to get value from Evernode, it's going to be the XRPL and its community. We're the ones ultimately that are going to benefit. So it makes sense that we would be the ones that would get the airdrop. I mean, I've been on Twitter for a lot of the day trying to answer questions people have got, and I've been writing them down during the day as I've been going through them, and I've tried to cover as many of them as I can, and I've kind of been ticking them off on my paper as we've been going through. But there are still a couple of questions that I've been asked numerous times that haven't actually been answered. At least today in our conversations. If it's all right, can we just answer some more of these common questions?
That'd be great.
So one of the things that has been asked several times is, can you buy Evers? Right, and so the answer will be yes, you will be able to buy Evers, but not until after the airdrop, because at the moment they don't even exist. And of course, we need a side chain to be stood up first for them to exist on. So yes, but you're going to have to wait for the airdrop to actually happen.
Okay.
There have been some lots of questions over the max supply, which is, I've got the exact number here in front of me, 72,253,840. That's the exact max supply, I believe. I took that from the white paper earlier on. We do not need XLS38D. I've seen that question asked many times, and much confusion between burn to mint and XLS38D, and so we're not required reliant on that at all.
Great.
Do we have to burn XRP on the mainnet to get Evers? Right, this is one we've sort of answered, but I would really just like to be crystal clear on this, because it's really important. The answer is yes, you will almost certainly have to burn XRP on the mainnet to get Evers airdrop. And I say almost certainly because I did say there's another route with an exchange you could go, but it's, in my opinion, it's almost certain you'll have to do that, right? However, I really want to be crystal clear on this point, okay? You only need to burn enough XRP to be able to activate the wallet and set up the trust line. And as I said, it'll be 5 XRP or less, I'm sure.
Less, right.
Less. So it's really important that people understand that you do not have to burn your XRP and get it on the side chain in order to get the Evers airdrop. If anybody did that, it would potentially be a disaster for them, because you'd basically reliant now all your XRPs on a side chain with no route back, and the only way you're ever going to be able to get that XRP back is if somebody else is prepared to effectively buy it from you via some kind of one-to-one swap. That would be a disaster. So for anyone watching, that if you take away anything from this video, it is, burn to mint is amazing, it's brilliant, It is the future of the XRP ledger, in my opinion, in terms of horizontal scaling, but it is also dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So be really careful. Make sure you use a credible tool. My guess is there'll be something built into some as an XApp. That's my guess as to what the most likely thing will be, and use a credible tool if you're going to do it. But don't be scared, because I'm sure by the time we get to the point where you have to actually do it, the tools will be in place, and it's actually not that difficult to do at all.
Yeah.
You asked about what happens if you have got more than 50,000 XRP, and I sort of answered that. But another question around that same limit was, what happens if you've got, say, 100,000 XRP? Does that mean that your entire address is excluded? Because when you read some of the stuff that's been written, it does say, you know, large accounts like Ripple and exchanges will be excluded. Now, that is a little confusing to me. I don't personally believe that they will exclude anybody. I just feel the 50K limit kind of does it for them. If Ripple have got a wallet with, I don't know, billions of XRP in it, right, they would only qualify for a 50,000K airdrop. Now, I've been searching to find something where I could say for a fact that that's what's going to happen, and I can't find anything. So this is a question Evernode are going to need to confirm for the community. However, I would be shocked, fall off my chair, if it turns out that holding more than 50,000 XRP excluded you from having any at all. So I will absolutely be reaching out to my contacts and also to Evernode to ask that question, and I will tweet the answer when I get it.
Okay.
Okay, but if you hold more than 50 XRP, it's for 50,000 XRP, it's probably going to be of a concern to you. You don't really want to get excluded at all if you want the airdrop.
Right.
I got three or four more questions that I've seen come up. How much Evers token do I get for each XRP I hold? And I've seen people making statements that are wrong today. It is not a one-for-one drop like with Flare. Okay. There are 5.1 million tokens that are going to be airdropped to XRP holders. So simple maths would say, if you had, say, 100 people apply for the airdrop and they all held 50,000 XRP in each wallet, that's 5 million XRP right there. And there's only 5.1 million Evers to distribute. So those 100 accounts alone create a one-to-one ratio. There's no way that only 100 people are going to apply for this airdrop, right? My guesstimate is it will be 20 to 30,000 minimum that will actually go for the airdrop. And even if you did an average balance of, say, 30,000 across all the wallets, you're talking about like 900 million XRP total balance supply. When you divide 5 million into that, it actually gives a ratio of more like 0.005 per XRP. So people just need to be aware that nobody knows what the actual ratio is going to be, and nobody's going. Yeah, they're going to have to do a snapshot. They're going to do a snapshot on the mainnet, and then they're going to have to do a second snapshot on the side chain of all the trust lines
once it's been opened. Right.
And then once
and you're going to have a lot of people who don't do that process as well.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about the Flare, it wasn't really as complicated. You know, you could just leave your XRP on an exchange and let them deal with it for you. You don't have that option if you want to be part of this airdrop. So you've got to do it yourself. So the number, I think, will be lower. But I mean, I'm sure Flare had over 100,000 accounts do it. So from our perspective on like the Evernode front, yeah, it's more complicated. Some people won't bother, and therefore 20,000, 30,000, it seems like a more realistic number to me. But time will tell, won't it?
Yeah.
But either way, you're not going to be getting one XRP.
But for
No, one,
somebody who, yes, wants to participate, you kind of are, you're not going to bug those people who don't want to take that extra step. That's all the more that comes down to the people who do participate.
yeah.
Yeah.
But people just need to understand what they're kind of getting into before they decide to do it. And I think, you know, hopefully this video and other videos that other people will make that go into this detail will just help people to understand what they're actually going to be getting into, and hopefully avoid problems. The other thing that's been asked is, when are we going to get the airdrop? I've seen it like today, and I'm like, they've literally announced it yesterday, and you want to know when you're going to get them. So it is unknown, and it is also impossible for Evernode to even tell you at this point. You know, they are reliant on the sidechain existing. Then once it exists, you know, they've got to notify everybody what's the trust line, you know, and they've got to give people time to go and do that. So what they're going to give a month's notice maybe to say, right, with the sidechain is up and running, the token's being created, here's the details you need, go and create your trust line, you've got a month to do it, here's the date of the next snapshot. And again, this is my interpretation, this is how I think they'll do it, because it hasn't been announced yet, but it seems logical to me that they will just do a snapshot of the trust lines on the sidechain at a point in time, and they'll use that, and they will map across the balances from the main net onto those that have done the actual trust lines. And when they've got that, they'll know the total supply of XRP, and then they'll be able to tell you how many Evers you're going to get.
Right.
XRP. So until all that process has happened, it is impossible for anyone to actually say what you're going to get.
Right.
And I guess it's going to be a couple of months, I would think, at least.
Yeah, that's how I was thinking. Also,
people have asked if this is going to be one airdrop or multiple airdrops like Flare. And so my understanding is this is just a one-off airdrop to XRP holders. It's not like a Flare where you're going to get them over a period of time. It's one airdrop, the lot in one go. That's my understanding of it. And the last question was typical. Can I sell the tokens after the airdrop? Yes, you can sell the tokens after the airdrop. And here's the key point on what you need to understand. When you sell these tokens, you're going to get sidechain XRP for them. Okay, which you can't sell.
Get back.
You can't put it on Coinbase and sell it. You can't exchange it for some other asset. It exists on the sidechain. So therefore, you know, really, if you sell them, you're going to end up with some XRP. So the only way you're going to get that off the sidechain is if somebody somewhere creates some kind of one-to-one swap tool, like an exchange. I could see an exchange doing it. And if the sidechain gains popularity and it becomes popular and it gets use case, and there's a need for people to have XRP in their account to be able to use something on the sidechain, then going to an exchange is probably an easy way to do it than doing B2M. So rather than burning your own XRP to get it on the sidechain, you could just go to an exchange and buy somebody else's and give them your XRP as a one-to-one swap. That is a real possibility, but somebody's got to build that first, and then not build it unless there's a market for that exchange.
Right. I foresee there'll be a secondary market for it. It'll probably be a swap market that's privately run. That's my guess. I'm just guessing that. And then maybe in the future it ends up being a viable token on an exchange as well, like Uphold, but that's way, way, way out.
My hope is that doesn't happen. My hope is that we will see an amendment passed on the mainnet that will allow the XRP to be sent back via the exact same process that was used to send it over in the first place. And I think if that happens, I think the XRPL just grew up, because now you can have horizontal scaling of with these side chains with a single asset. And
yeah, that's in an ideal world, and I think there's people working on it. Yeah, but you have to go into this knowing that there's a chance that will not happen, and that you will always be with a token that's on the sidechain.
Yeah. So when you move XRP across the sidechain, you're betting at the moment on the utility of that sidechain.
Because sidechain, right?
If there's a market for XRP in the sidechain, there will likely be somebody that wants to buy it from you. Then you can get out. If there's no utility for the sidechain, then no one's going to want to buy it from you. And if you're holding it, you're holding nothing.
Right.
So it's everybody that uses burn to mint just needs to be aware of that. So, you know, when you do this process, don't think, oh, I'll burn a couple of thousand and chuck them over to see what it's all about. Don't do that. Just burn the 5 that you probably need, and and then have a play with it. And that's, but equally, it is also important that the sidechain gets support, that developers build upon it and build real use cases, and then that is going to attract people to need to send their XRP over because they want to use it. And it's brilliant because people are only going to move it across if they actually want to use it. And it's one of the things which we've all been saying, XRP is not designed to be just stored in a wallet while we wait for the price to go up. It's there to be used for real world utility. So the Hooks sidechain is going to create the opportunity with Evernode to create massive utility for projects other than Ripple, and it is then incumbent on those types of projects to build real businesses where there's a need for an asset like XRP to be used, and then the money will naturally flow over as is needed then.
It's really fun to see this ecosystem build out like this. I'm excited for it, and I'm happy to see that this stage is coming out, and that Evernode has a plan to provide this new utility that gives us a very powerful smart contract.
Yeah. There's only one final thing I think I would just want to say, is that nobody from Evernode has actually asked me to make this video with you.
No, me neither.
I just feel as I support Evernode in everything that they're doing, and the airdrop hadn't been live more than a matter of hours before their Twitter account is getting cloned and scams are already appearing.
Everyone's got to be very careful for that. Yeah,
it is. And what drives me to sort of like want to make this video is not just about educating people on the airdrop. It's to also make sure that they're safe and they don't end up getting scammed by someone that says, actually, this is what you got to do to get your airdrop, and bingo, or you've lost all your XRP. We don't want to see that happening. Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to make that point. Nobody from Evernode actually asked or maybe even wanted me to make this video with you, but hopefully it's going to be useful for some people that have listened. And
yeah, I do appreciate you. Yeah, you are really in the middle of your night. So if people,
I know it's 2:30 a.m. here now. Yeah.
People don't know how you have dedicated to get the truth out there and to get the knowledge up so that everybody can understand what's going on. And I really appreciate it, Chris, because I do know what it's like doing those videos at 2:30 in the morning. You're gonna sleep very well, and I will let you go so that you can go do that.
Great stuff. Right. Thank you for your time again.
Thank you so much. Talk to you real soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.